Hey guys, Thogden here, and welcome back to a brand new video. Now today, we're going to be going through Newcastle. They've had a takeover. Usually we sit down and talk about 20 clubs, but we've got so much to speak about one club in the Prem, it's ridiculous.
It is incredible. Mike Ashley has gone, and we're all talking about Newcastle as being one of the biggest clubs in the world. Life is strange, isn't it, Theo?
It's mental. The Saudis have come in, they're worth 10 times anybody else in the league. Talk about City owners, well, 10 times that, mate. They are nuts with how much money they've got. They've said they're going to invest into the training facilities and improving the stadium, but they've also got a massive transfer budget in January. So let's go through 5 players each. Who would you sign if you had that job?
Well, I'll tell you what, Theo, this isn't just a supermarket sweep of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
Because Newcastle, for me, Theo, they've got 3 things to think about. Number 1 is survival. Number 2 is building for the future. And number 3 is financial fair play. They can't just go out and spend half a billion. They're not allowed to.
Yeah, and my list consists of some realistic signings, and we're not putting Mbappe down. As much as a lot of you Newcastle fans would like that, the financial fair play side would just come for them. It's simple as that.
And also, Newcastle are one of the oldest clubs in the country, 28 and a half years old. So you've got to look a little bit at youth. But you know what, Theo? The first thing I did, I looked at that Newcastle squad and I asked the question, who would you keep? Now, I don't know what you're thinking about that.
Well, I want to see what the comments think. As many players as you think are going to stay around in this Newcastle team, I'm going to put 4 out there for me.
Yeah, go on.
Willock, Callum Wilson, Dubravka, and what's his name? St. Maximan. How did I leave him last? He could play for either of these 2 clubs wearing the shirts of. He's amazing. I can't think of anyone else I'd add to that.
I would say Jamal Lascelles and Jamal Lewis are good enough to stay. Okay, they need to learn a bit.
I think you're being a bit kind there. And this is like the whole Brucey thing. Do you still want Brucey to stay, by the way?
I actually feel really sorry for Steve Bruce on a human level because you don't deserve to be insulted and abused.
Do you want him to stay?
No, he's not going to stay.
He's not going to, so you're being
knows
realistic.
That. The whole world knows that he's going to leave, but last season he got Newcastle to 12th place with a really poor squad. Respect.
But the football, that's not what the Newcastle fans want going forward, especially now with the ownership situation, the facilities they're going to have, the opportunities. It's incredible. So let's go through the 5 signings both of us would make if we had the job of signing the players, really. I think they've got about 200 million transfer budget, but ignore that for a second. The FFP will come for them if they just splash it on one big player. So let's be realistic here. Who's your first player?
My first player on the list is James Tarkowski. Now, he's a centre-back. He's 28 years old. He's been a brilliant servant for Oldham Athletic, for Brentford and for Burnley. His contract is up soon. He's an England international. He's played twice. He could have played a lot more. And I tell you what, he'll walk straight into this team and make it better.
You don't think Sean Dyche will extend his contract?
He might want to, but where would you rather be, Burnley or Newcastle?
Dad, Burnley get relegated without him. They'll do anything to keep him in that team. I genuinely believe it's going to be hard to take it off Burnley, but if he does run out the contract, Newcastle will be knocking on the door. That's a sensible signing. The first player I've put down in my list is Noah Lang. I thought you knew I'd put him down because of how much I gassed him when I watched Club Brugge versus PSG in the Champions League. I went there to see Neymar. I came out watching Noah Lang. He was the Dutch Neymar. He's like he's the equivalent to Rafinha. You know how Leeds have got Rafinha on the wing, their skillful flair on the sort of player. For Newcastle, that could be Noah Lang. He's a left winger who cuts in on his right foot. A little bit of an upgrade on Joe Linton, just to say. And he is absolutely smashing it at Club Brugge. I think he just signed a new deal, so it would take a little bit of, money to convince him to sign. But in the coming few seasons, it's the sort of player, he needs to be in the Premier League. They need to get there before a big club does. He's going to be a serious baller.
I respect that, Theo, but the first thing Newcastle need to do is sort out the spine of the team, the core of the team. So I very much looked at centre-back and central midfield positions.
Yeah, I had a bit of fun. I looked at all different positions. Apart from striker, because of St. Maximan, Callum Wilson.
Yes.
Let's be realistic here. The left wing is a position they need, and he would add something different and special.
And my second player, I'm going over to France now, and I'm picking another centre-back, Sven Botman, Theo, of Lille. Now, last season, he won Liga 1 with Lille, and I tell you what, he's a good young player.
Is he? I don't know anything about him. Is he good?
He's tall, he's a youth international, he is the future. He's the sort of player you bring in, you get him for about 25, 30 million, and he could be at Newcastle for the next decade. Potentially, he's a great player.
Well, he's won the French League, he's 21 years old, he's got many years to come. It's a sensible signing for Newcastle. Fair play. Thogdad's done his research today. My second player, we've gone for a midfielder. He's already been linked with in the newspapers because of his lack of game time in the Serie A. You know I'm talking about Aaron Ramsey. Now, he's been smashing it for Wales, scoring goals, being their main man. He's not getting enough game time in the Juve setup right now. Bring him back to the Premier League. Money talks, like I said. He'd want to play for Newcastle. Having him back in the Premier League would be great for the game as well. I think it's a signing that makes sense.
He's a class player, Theo, but has he still got it? Is this not looking backwards?
No, of course he's still got it. Did you watch Wales the other week?
Yeah, fair enough.
Honestly, the geezer's brilliant. He defends, he attacks, he does it all. He's got such a tank in him. And the fact he doesn't play every week annoys me. Get him back in the Prem, the Geordie. Sign him up right now.
And my third player is Boubacar Kamara of Marseille, 21 years old central midfielder. Now, his contract is up at the end of the year.
Okay.
The word I hear on the street is he won't leave Marseille. But I think Newcastle should be looking for young, bright talents like this, Theo.
So, what position does he play?
He's a central midfielder, and he's very highly rated. He's a youth international. And
Is he a ball-winning midfielder, or is he more attacking?
Yeah, don't expect me to say too much about it. What this lad would provide is solidity in the centre of the park, Theo. He's highly rated by Marseille fans and players alike. This is the sort of player Newcastle need to go for. They need to bring down the average age of the team. And if it doesn't work out, he'll have great resale value.
Well, you are wearing the Marseille shirt right now, and he is young. And if he is all that, bring him to the Premier League. Sign him up, and it's another French lad. They've got the history with the French boys. And my third player is a man you'll remember from the Euros, the Denmark team. You're probably thinking of some names. Joachim Mæhle. Everybody's Euro fantasy prodigy. He was amazing. For me and the team, he got me so many points. And you know what? He's been incredible at Denmark, but not so good in the Atalanta setup this season. His performances have simply dropped. And that's because the form this season, the tactics, it doesn't work for him.
Yeah.
So he'll be thinking of moving on because everybody knows he's got a serious player in him. And I think Newcastle can bring the best out of him. If you look at the Newcastle lineup right now, the fullbacks positions simply need to be improved. Mæhle can play on both sides. He's very attacking. So even if they wanted to go to a back three, he could play as a wing back as he did for Denmark. This is a realistic move that makes sense. And I think if they're really looking to improve without going crazy over the budget, he's the sort of player they should go for.
And you can't argue with that.
He was good. Do you remember watching it?
Absolutely, Theo. Very
Brilliant.
good shout.
On the left flank, cutting on the right. Oh, he was class, I tell you. Who's your fourth player then, Dad?
Well, I've gone for a Portsmouth lad who plays for Southampton. I don't know how that works. James Ward-Prowse, 26 years old, central midfielder. One of the most underrated players in the league. Plays for Southampton, of course. Brilliant at set pieces. He's an England international. He knows the league. Sign him.
But who says he's going to leave to a competitor?
Because Southampton are going down.
If they do go down, it makes sense. But currently, we're talking about January, Thogdad.
Yeah, look,
to convince him to leave Southampton and go to Newcastle when they're both fighting relegation.
Look, his contract runs out in 2026, so you'd have to pay quite a lot of money. I don't know, maybe 30 million for this lad. But let's be honest now, relegation this season is now 3 teams from 4. Southampton are one of them.
We'll find out very soon. I've gone for a centre-back, which will put a smile on your face because you've been doubting whether I've been, looking into the Newcastle defence to improve because that's the real position that they need to go for. And I mentioned him on Sky Sports, and I'm going to mention him again because I think he's perfect for the back line. Now, we know Fabian Schär is Swiss, and he's a centre-back. But the up-and-coming Swiss centre-back that smashed it at the Euros was Nico Elvedi. Now, he plays for Mönchengladbach. He smashed it at the Euros, like I said. He's doing really well in the Bundesliga this season. For a centre-back, 25 years old is pretty young. You've got a lot of years to come. It's like when Virgil signed for Liverpool. He wasn't too young, but he wasn't too old. So he had that maturity about him, but also the quality. This is the sort of thing that would be perfect for Newcastle. He's a leader, and for years to come, they could rely on him. It's a big improvement on their centre-half position. I think it's a realistic signing too.
Theo, that would be a brilliant signing, but would he go to Newcastle United at this point in time?
Yeah.
When there's maybe a relegation tussle?
Dad, I think he would, because he knows the team's going to improve around him. He goes in there, add solidity, everybody's going to get better. They're going to be playing European football. And I know Gladbach playing the Champions League sometimes, but who's writing off Newcastle in about 4 or 5 years for that? I'm just saying.
And finally, I've gone for a bit of excitement and creativity. You've got to agree with this one. It's Jesse Lingard, J-Lings. Now, look what he did at West Ham last season, Theo. 16 games, 9 goals, 5 assists. An immediate impact at another Premier League team. He's not getting enough game time at Man United. He's a recognised international. He's an absolute baller, and the Geordies would love him. Sign him up.
Yeah, I think the fact that he's still at United makes sense for a move to a club that I'd want him in January. And now West Ham have brought in the Croatian attacking midfielder Vlasic, and they've got Ben Rama doing really well. I can't see him going back there. So That's a move that makes sense. I think that's a good option. No Donny van de Beek in your 5 then?
No, Theo. Everyone is screaming that Donny van der Beek has to go to Newcastle. He's not proved himself in the Premier League yet.
But he was so good at Ajax, Dad. Those Champions League nights where he's getting in perfect positions, scoring lovely goals.
Theo, Ajax, Schmajax, this is the Premier League. And a lot of the names I've gone for, I've asked the question, can they make an immediate impact at this level?
Thog Dad, I think you're being a mug. That Ajax team was brilliant. And he was a big part of that. Now, I'm going to move on to my 5th player, and it is Donny van der Beek.
No!
I'm kidding, it's not. And I'm going to bottle its name, Aurélien Tchouameni. Okay?
Ooh.
Now, you might know his name because he played for France in the UEFA Nations League final last night.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
He was brilliant. He played next to Pogba because Kante was injured. That is a big role of playing N'Golo Kante, probably the best ball-winning fielder in the world when he is. And he smashed it, Dad. He won the ball back. He was making recoveries. His positioning was great. Dad, this is a lad who's 21 years old, only just broke through to the French first team. He plays for Monaco. Man United were on the verge of signing him about a month ago. The deal broke down. This is looking very likely whether he's going to go to PSG with Idrissa Gueye getting on, it makes sense, or Newcastle. Money talks. This is a signing that will probably be done maybe in the summer rather than January because it's going to take time to work it out. It's going to be expensive, but it's perfect for Newcastle's midfield. They could do with a holding midfielder, someone who can also go forward a bit.
Yeah, but would he settle immediately in the Premier League? It is the best league in the world, and some players don't make it. Donny van der Beek is one of those examples.
Yeah, but he's not. They're different kind of midfielders. Donny van der Beek isn't playing because Bruno's there. If Tchouameni was in the United team, he would play because he's more defensive-minded, and McFred, they need to be improved defensively. That's a fact. He would actually play. I think he'd fit in. There's a reason United wanted him.
Yeah.
English football is calling his name. Sign him up.
Well, what about the names we've not mentioned? We did a little Twitter poll and everyone was saying Philippe Coutinho. What do you think of that?
as well.
Lacazette was another one.
Coutinho is someone who costs a load. It's just not realistic. It's not going to happen. He's on such a big wage at Barcelona. When they loaned him out to Bayern, I think they still paid like 80% of it because no one's going to pay that. They just overpaid. Newcastle are going to stay away from that. I'll tell you that right now. Lacazette makes more sense.
Absolutely. I think Coutinho is also damaged goods, and if you'd said his name, I would have roasted you.
And I think we agree on a lot of these. Not that we agree on the players, but we've gone for a similar bunch, haven't we? Young, up and coming, and people that can really improve the squad going forward.
You know what? After all this talk, let's go to St James's Park next Sunday.
Shall we?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
15,000 likes and we'll go to Newcastle Spurs. We're going to make it happen, 15,000 likes.
And a message to all the Geordies, get a pint of Newcastle Brown Ale ready for Thog Dad. Cool. Beer review time.
If you're a Geordie, subscribe with notifications turned on because that could be an incredible day. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you very much. See you in a bit. Bye, guys.
See ya.